Welcome to another episode of Kenny's Kantina, Eating in Style on the Road. I'm still exploring the Pacific Northwest. The other day, I took a trip to the Hoh Rainforest in the Olympic National Park. Man, that rainforest is like a fairyland, and it's well worth the trip to see. On the way from Port Angeles to Hoh, you skirt by Crescent Lake, which is this old lake formed by a glacier. There's plenty of pull-offs along the lake. You can get out, take pictures. You can go kayaking there if you want. And then you work your way around the peninsula to the west side, and you can see the rainforest. You know, when you think of a rainforest, you typically think of the Amazon. Hoh Rainforest is different. It's a spruce forest that gets 139 inches of rain a year, and the trees are covered in moss. So be sure and include the Hoh on your itinerary for your trip out to the Pacific Northwest. It's well worth the drive and the day trip over there. In episode 4, I cooked Carne Guisada, a hearty Tex-Mex meat stew. In this episode, we're going to prepare a side dish for the Carne Guisada or any other Mexican dish that you make. We're going to make some Tex-Mex rice. Rice and beans are the mainstay side dishes in Mexican food. Mexican rice is a simple dish to prepare, and it adds so much to your Mexican dinner. My style of rice leans towards Tex-Mex, so it'll be slightly different from rice found in various regions of Mexico. But this Tex-Mex rice is easy to prepare, and it's packed with flavor. The prep time to this dish is about 5 minutes. Cooking time takes about 30 minutes. So what I'm giving you today will serve about 4 to 6 people. If you have extra, I can refrigerate this for a week. And if you wanted to, you could freeze the rice and have it for later. And I'd say it'd hold for about 6 months. A tip, if you do freeze it, or even with reheating it from the refrigerator, add a little broth or water in it, and it'll kind of moisten it up when you do it. The ingredients for this, we're going to use 2 tablespoons of olive, a cup of long grain rice, a tablespoon of minced garlic, 2 tablespoons of cumin, 2 cups of water, and a tablespoon of tomato bouillon. So there's not a lot of items or ingredients that go into this dish. So to start out on the preparation, I'm going to turn on my stove and add my 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and I'm going to get that heating, kind of spreading the oil around in the pan. It doesn't take long to heat it up. And then the next thing, as that's heating, I'm pouring some rice into my cup measure, and I'm going to spread that rice throughout the pan. The key to this dish is to pre-toast the rice. So it's different than if you're just making regular steamed rice or something like that. So I'm going to stir the rice up so it gets covered with the olive oil as the pan continues to heat up. And then I'm going to add the minced garlic. The nice thing about adding the garlic, I love it when it hits the pan and it'll start sizzling and you start getting that aroma of the garlic as it's going around. The smell of that garlic is just wonderful. So I'm going to spread it back out in the pan so I can get it evenly toasted. And as we're roasting it, you'll see the rice start to become more opaque. So it'll become a little brighter whiter. Let that toast for a little bit. As it's becoming that white, that's when I'm going to add the cumin to it. That garlic smells good in there. So let me get the cumin, and I'm going to use the cumin and spread that over the rice. Okay, there's 1 and 2. And then I'm going to stir that up so that cumin mix in. And when that cumin heats up, the heat releases the aromas and kind of opens up the spice. It'll give you a little more flavor. All right, so I'm going to let that set and toast a little more. So for about 3 minutes, I'm going to let that toast. In the meantime, I'm going to take my 2 cups of water and the tomato bouillon, and I'm going to mix that up, break it all down, So you get a nice reddish color in the water. Let's check on the rice. Oh yeah, I'm getting a pretty good toast. All of it's opaque now. I'm going to add the broth on top of it. Get a nice sizzle when you pour that in. Just kind of stir it up a little bit. And then I'm going to cover that and bring it to a boil. Doesn't take long to boil in there. And matter of fact, it's already boiling. I'm going to turn that down to low, and I'm going to let that simmer for 18 to 20 minutes. So basically what you're going to do is that rice is going to absorb the water, steam off. We'll just let it slow simmer, and we'll come back and check on that in about 18 minutes. Okay, it's been our 18 minutes. Let me turn that off. I just opened up the lid, and boy, you smell those flavors, that tomato and garlic and the cumin coming off of that. And I'm going to remove this from the heat, and then we're going to let that set for 5 minutes. Go ahead and leave it covered for those 5 minutes, and we will be back to fluff it. So 5 minutes has passed now. Let me take off that lid, set it aside. So the rice has a nice amber color, kind of light brownish color. And I'm going to take a fork, and I'm just going to lightly fluff up that rice, kind of break it apart. It's nice and flaky. That's one of the things with the toast and the rice that helps to keep it flaky. It doesn't stick together. So we've got that fluffed. All right. Now you may get a little bit of toastedness. Some of the rice that was on the bottom or the sides may look to be a little charred. That's okay. That kind of adds some texture and flavor to the dish. Okay, so let me take a taste of this. The nice thing about this rice is it's kind of got a subtle flavor to it. It's not overpowering. We didn't put in so much cumin and spices that it overpowers you. It's just a nice subtle taste. That toasting of that rice makes it flaky. That's good. So we're going to serve this as a side dish for any Mexican food that you're preparing. A couple tips to keep in mind on this is the secret to the dish is to toast that rice before adding the water. You want to get that toasted flavor in the rice, and like I said, it helps to keep it from sticking together. So it's a little heartier, crispier rice than you would have with a regular, typical rice dish. Another tip, if you're having problems finding the tomato bouillon, you can always substitute a tablespoon of tomato paste in place of that, and that'll work as well. So this rice goes great with any Mexican food dish, so keep it in mind for Taco Tuesday or any other day that you're making Mexican food. So the last episode, the Carne Guisada show, spawned a few questions. They're really some cool questions. They're interesting, and I think you'll find them helpful. So Maggie from Texas asks, what's the difference between carne asada and carne guisada? And this is really a good question that often causes confusion. So carne guisada is a stew. So it's a slow-cooked stew meat. Carne asada is grilled meat that you add different spices to. So it's a grilled process versus a stewing process. Next question along the same lines, Molly from Illinois asks, is carne asada spicy or is carne guisada spicier? A lot of times it depends on just who's doing the cooking and their personal preference. I'd say that asada may be a little spicier because of the spice added directly to the meat. I think the carne guisada, the stew, tends to have a little more subtle flavor and more complex because of the cooking process. Wallace from New Mexico asks, is carne asada and fajitas the same? So think of asada as a process. It translates to grilled meat. Fajitas, on the other hand, are a particular cut of meat. It's marinated skirt steak that is then grilled. The marination is needed to tenderize the meat. Beef skirt is a cheap, tough cut of meat, but through the marination, it becomes tender, and it's become a very popular dish in restaurants. Ken from Arizona wrote, I've been having a problem with my wife about this for years, so I hope you can answer it. What's the difference between a taco and a fajita? I keep telling her they are both the same. She bet me $1 that I was wrong. I don't want to get into any marital disputes, but a taco is basically anything put into a soft tortilla or a hard taco shell so that you can eat it by hand. Fajita tacos are one type of taco. I'll let y'all decide who won the bet. Tanya from California asks, is there a substitute for meat? I'm a vegetarian. You could chop portobello mushrooms in place of the meat and use a vegetable broth. Since you're not trying to tenderize the stew meat, your cooking time would be less. So you're probably cutting your cooking time in half on that process. So good luck and try it and let me know how it works out. I think it'd be good. Finally, Frank from Colorado asks, can I make this in a pressure cooker to eliminate the time it takes to cook your recipe? If so, what would you recommend the cooking time to be at? Frank, this is a really good question. I know a lot of RVers are using pressure cookers, and I've not yet purchased one and played with it, so unfortunately I don't have an answer for you. If anyone else out there is familiar with pressure cookers, send me a note and I can pass on the information on a future episode. And I'm making a note that I need to look more into pressure cookers and maybe pick one up and start experimenting. So I want to thank all my viewers and fans who took the time to cook with me and who have taken time out of their busy day to drop me a note with a question or a comment. Your enjoying the show is what it's all about, and I appreciate your viewing. Now, I'm really excited about my next show. I'll be preparing a shrimp boil for some friends and family. As you will see, this will be a great dish to prepare outside while camping, so stay tuned for the next Kenny's Cantina Eating in Style on the Road. Thanks for watching. And also, Kenny's Cantina wouldn't be possible without the help of my sponsors, IBC Productions and Roadhog Media Network. So thanks to them, and see y'all on the road.